It's gonna be this way.
Swim so free.
A Capitol Hill to
Soccer bopper.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Tune In Next Week. This is episode number 13, Lucky 13. And what better way than to celebrate episode 13 with one of my all-time favorite shows, Family Matters. But I can't do that without saying hello to my good friend and co-host, Mr. Brian.
What's up, dude? What's happening, John?
How are you, man?
Feeling fantastic.
Me too.
Uplifted, especially after this viewing.
That's right. And, you know, this is one of our longer theme song intros, but you know what? That theme song, it's cool. It's totally fine. It can stand the test of time.
It picks me up. I don't know the lyrics.
I was singing through most of the
yeah,
so we're cutting that out for sure.
I was trying to sing along, but I wound up mumbling the words and just being like blah 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 blah.
Sorry, as long as you get the beginning part, you know, which I can't even do that, but such an awesome show. One of my all-time favorite shows from growing up. So tell me, when you were younger, did you watch this show?
Absolutely. This is one of the shows that I watched regularly. My mother, my brother, and I think one of the previous episodes, I cited the TGIF block as being appointment TV.
Yep.
And every week, every Friday, we would sit down and watch that block. And I always looked forward to the show.
Me too.
I really liked and enjoyed this show.
Me too. And I mean, it was this and Perfect Strangers that I watched more of, you know, more so than Full House or even Step by Step. But this was, you know, if I think back to my childhood, this is the first show that comes to mind. And that theme song, I could listen to that theme song over and over again. And yeah. I don't think it would ever get old.
It's one of those sleeper theme songs, though.
Yeah.
We've talked about theme songs pretty much every episode,
right? And
this is one of those theme songs that you think, oh yeah, it's a good theme song, but when you hear it, you kind of forget how good it really is.
You know, that's a great point. And you know, this is one of those. I feel like this theme song is just such a great fit for the show. You know, and if you guys have listened to our Cheers podcast, you know, you and I had a civil but significant disagreement on the theme song. You know, and this is one that I think does not apply at all. You know, this one, the theme song is such a perfect fit for the show because I hear the theme song and I think about a family environment. I think about days going by and I think about the life of the family, and the song sounds like it belongs in the beginning of a TV show.
Yeah.
You know, and it just fits so beautifully. So I was really looking forward to doing this one. And I think it's great that we're doing it right after Perfect Strangers also. As we previously discussed on the last episode here, Family Matters is a spin-off show from Perfect Strangers.
A direct spin-off.
Yep.
The office worker, Harriet Winslow, from Perfect Strangers, is the same character that is the wife of Carl Winslow in this show.
Right. Now, before we jump into anything specific, I just want to take care of some business.
Business.
Got to do our paperwork.
Got to have business. I'm wearing my business socks.
I can see then. You got your button-down shirt thing going on. I mean, I'm in my sweatpants and t-shirt because I've been home all day, but...
I embody business currently.
There you go, man. There you go. So, first and foremost, just wanted to throw a quick thank you to the folks at JB Recording. That is a recording studio that we call home. We record our shows there, and they are so wonderful in helping us get those shows ready for you guys. So thanks to JB Recording. Visit jbrecording.com for all of your music production needs. Also, I'm going to go through the litany of social media places to find us. We have a new one to add as well, so you can find us on Twitter at TuneIn_nextweek, Our main base of operations is Tumblr, and that's tunein-nextweek.tumblr.com. You can find us on SoundCloud, tunein_nextweek. All the latest episodes will also be available there, so if you want to subscribe to us, if you don't run an Apple system, you can subscribe to us there if you run like an Android or a Windows phone or something. We are now also on TuneIn. So if you go to tunein.com, again, if you're not running either of those two types of blogging or music sharing services like SoundCloud and iTunes podcasts and so forth, you can find us on there as well. We are now on TuneIn, so we are all over the place. We are on YouTube as well. Please subscribe to us there if you can get to our channel. So if we hit 100 subscribers, we can get ourselves a YouTube address. So we would really appreciate it if you can help us reach that wonderful milestone. So, but to everyone who listens to us, we appreciate you. We thank you, and we're going to jump right in.
Don't forget about Instagram.
Oh, yes, Instagram. We are on there as well, also as tunein_nextweek.
I think that's all of it.
I think so, but we'll just have to listen back and make sure we covered them all.
Yeah,
but
that sounds pretty thorough.
Please definitely follow us. Interact with us, communicate with us. We would love to hear from you guys because we are all one big happy family.
And family matters, John.
It does.
It matters.
It really matters. I see what you did there. I like
that. I'm known for my segues.
Very nice. So speaking of segues, and we're not talking about the thing you stand on. That's like a hoverboard with a handle. We are talking about the episode called Life of the Party from Season 2, episode number 18 of Family Matters. Now, Family Matters ran from 1989 to 1998, ran for 9 seasons. And the original air date for this episode was February 8th, 1991. And you can get this for yourself on iTunes and Amazon.
This particular episode, directed by Gary Mentier, who is also of TV fame, director of shows Laverne and Shirley, Happy Days, Punky Brewster, among other things. Those are some of his highlights, though. He's a writer. He's a pretty prolific writer. He's been on some really, really great shows, but he's got lots of episodes that he's directed. She's the Sheriff, which is a show from the late 80s.
Never heard of that one.
Of course, Punky Brewster, Laverne and Shirley. Pretty prolific in the TV world.
Excellent.
This particular episode was written by Janet Lynn Jackson.
Okay. I was just thinking of something that, we talk about these TV shows from way back when, and there's a level of quality in those shows, both in the writing and the direction and the production, that you just don't see anymore. And I'm just wondering if someone's going to be doing an episode, someone in the future, maybe 20, 30 years from now, might be doing, a different version of Tune In Next Week, but they're talking about TV shows from the, 2000s and 2010s and so forth. I just don't feel like the caliber of TV is there.
Well, I would disagree.
Certain exceptions apply, of course, like Lost and Walking Dead and stuff like that. But, these prolific shows that were a part of our past, the caliber just isn't there anymore. What do you think?
I think it's different. You have shows really influential and popular shows that have recently changed the landscape of TV. I would be remiss if I didn't mention Breaking Bad, The Sopranos, Mad Men. Of course, you mentioned The Walking Dead. These are shows that already have podcasts dedicated to them. The creators of Breaking Bad have done an exhaustive podcast on the creative and the production process of that show.
Right.
But recently, in the past 5-10 years, there's a new caliber of show out. So while the sitcom itself has fallen by the wayside, other dramedy, drama, and
dramedy sounds about right.
Yeah. There's.
And to be fair, I haven't watched nearly enough of the newer stuff now, like Mike and Molly, Two Broke Girls. I'm trying to think of whatever comes to mind, but there's.
Are you talking about those sitcoms?
Yeah, like the same caliber, same type of TV as what Family Matters and Perfect Strangers were.
Yeah, I'm probably not the best person to talk to about those because I have nothing but disdain for some of those.
Sure. Let's do a bit of a plot synopsis here. So basically, at a rooftop dance party, Steve comes face to face with someone he had an altercation with, and basically, after a little while, this person says, "You know what? I'm going to give Steve a pardon." And gives Steve a peace offering, which is a glass of punch, but it's not just a regular punch. And after he drinks that, some hilarity ensues. So that's about as concise as I can get it. What do you think?
I think that's great.
Cool. Let's just jump right into this because there's so much going on, and this is only a 23-minute show, but we have a bunch of stuff.
There's a ton of things to cover here.
Yeah. So we're cold opening into the Winslow house, and everybody is just in a huge argument. And Carl, being the head of the household, is trying to get everybody's attention, and he winds up pulling out an air horn.
Yeah, which he just
Playing
happened
referee.
to have.
Of course.
Went over to a cabinet, just pulled it out. Yeah, pull out the old air horn.
Well, it seems like maybe these things happen often. Maybe he needs to pew, in order to get people's attentions on a regular basis.
I liked when he tried to whistle to get everybody's attention.
Oh, yeah.
He put two fingers, and then he just kind of took his fingers out of his mouth. They kind of frowned and went.
Yeah, that's what happens whenever I try to do that. My uncle can do it perfectly. He puts one finger in each hand in the side of his mouth and just lets out this huge whistle. Never been able to figure out how to do it. And I'm a sound guy, and I should be able to figure out how to do something like that. I'm lost. I would be with Carl on the air horn.
There are great online tutorials to teach you how to whistle.
Oh yeah. But anyway, so he pulls out the air horn, and basically they're trying to figure out where they should go on vacation. And there's some interesting suggestions across the crowd of different places to go on vacation. Did you write them down? I wrote them all down. I
did. The first one, before we get too far into this, so maybe this isn't the best place to bring it up, but I want to express my disappointment at the lack of babies from Harriet Winslow. In the last episode, if you listen to our take on Perfect Strangers, Harriet, the sassiest of women, ended every sentence, not with the period, but with the exclamation, "Baby."
Well, Harriet played a minor role in this episode. A lot of the Winslow clan was minor in this episode. It was mainly Laura and Urkel.
Yeah.
So, we didn't see much of them in this one. So I'm sure we'd get more babies from Harriet, in another episode. And I'm going to go right on record and just say before we get into anything, I would love to do another Family Matters episode, like just another one sometime.
I'm behind you with that. This show is so good. Of course, that's subjective. Yeah. It's my opinion, but
I share your opinion. Yeah. So he toots his horn, gets everybody to shut up, and they are, then they start talking about all these different places to go on vacation. Harriet's like, "Let's go to New York. We're taking some theater." I would agree. I am from that area. I would love to go to New York and take in some theater. I think it's a great little bit of culture.
Yeah, I love theater too.
And then Rachel just hits it home, and she's like, "Let's go to the beach," because she wants to find a man. But specifically,
she not only wants to find a man, she wants to lay out on the beach, catch some Z's. I forget the alliteration she used. Catch some Z's.
Something, and catch a man on his knees.
Catch a man around his knees.
Right.
Catch a man around his knees, which paints quite a vivid picture in my mind of Rachel wrapping her arms around a man's knees. And you know where her head is.
I think you need to remind us.
She's looking to get a mouthful of meat.
Now, would that be her paying the fare to the train to Bonetown?
I would only assume that she wants to board the expressway.
Right.
Take the Bone Zone train down to Pound Town. Yeah, so Rachel wants to go to the beach.
Yep. And then the grandmother, what's her name? Do we ever find out her name?
No. Carl calls her Ma.
Yeah,
Mama.
or I wrote her down as Granny. But she wants to go to Graceland to pay her respects to Elvis, which honestly, I think that would be a cool trip at some point too.
Have you ever been?
Never.
I've never been either.
Okay,
I'd like to go.
There we go. And then Carl says, "Well, hey, let's go to Lake Geneva in Wisconsin and rent a cabin." That sounds real nice too.
It really does.
You know-
Everyone kind of scoffs at him because it's cheap, but he makes some valid points.
Right.
Of course it's cheap, and that's a great factor. However, it's got everything everybody wants. We can swim in the water. Maybe we won't get to take in the metropolitan area. We won't get to see some theater, but
Well, yeah, but they live in Chicago.
they do.
So it's like you'd want to get. I would think going from Chicago to New York isn't going to be as much of a restful vacation. Because tell me what you think. And I don't want to get too far off, but when I go on vacation, I either am going to have a restful vacation where I'm doing very little and spending more like R&R time, or I'll have like a really active vacation where I have a busy itinerary and I'm doing a lot of stuff, but I'm still away from my normal day to day. But either has its relaxing qualities and it's sort of like respite qualities, but I don't know if they were going for a specific type of vacation there.
Right. For me, if I'm going away to vacation, if I'm having a destination vacation, I am going to be very, very nice. Very nice.
If you were going on a destination vacation.
Dick. Lost my train of thought. Okay. If I'm going away to vacation, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to party. I'm going to be active. There's no way around it. If I'm having a restful vacation, I'm very likely not going far out of my way.
Sure. Because you can do things like that here or, without going too far.
Yeah.
So, everybody has some interesting ideas for where to go. And, Carl just says, okay, well, we're going to Lake Geneva, and just sort of tosses his hands up in the air and is like, okay, well, that's it. And then we hit the theme song. Yeah, exactly. So, I didn't realize this, but apparently they had different versions of the theme song, some longer than others.
Yeah.
I heard some lyrics I had never heard before, and it went on a little longer than I thought, but I was like, you know what? For being a little revisit to something from my childhood, I was like, you know what? This is really cool. I liked it.
And that's pretty standard fare. As the longer a show goes on, especially after it reaches syndication,
right.
It's not typical, but it's not rare to see a show trim up their intro just to get to the action.
Well, yeah, and sometimes they might have to do that to shave a little bit of time off of the episode if they only have, we'll say 24 minutes or 22 minutes for an episode, and the episode comes there with, 23 and a half minutes, they're going to shave off as much as they can.
Yeah.
So, that's not uncommon. So anyway, let's so going further here, after the theme song, we're back in here, and now we've got Laura and
Maxine
are planning this party. Now, my first question is like, wait a minute, are we going on vacation or are we planning a party? Like this, I was wondering where the whole vacation thing would come into play, because it seemed like it was sort of out of the blue.
And Maxine is planning a party because her parents are on vacation.
Right.
So and that was a little confusing to me at first also. It's like, well, what's happening here? But we come to find out that the Winslow vacation is not going to be for later on.
Right.
We're still in the planning stages of the Winslow vacation.
Right.
Maxine's parents, they've already abandoned her.
Yeah.
She's already...
So she can host this party, and she says, well, hey, I'm going to have it on the rooftop because my parents just got new carpeting, and which, roof parties are fun. Parties are awesome.
They are fun, and this may just be me, I don't know, not really being that quick on the uptake. The Winslow house is in the suburbs.
Right.
In Chicago, but in the suburbs of Chicago. So
Sure.
Not downtown. And granted, apartments will be nearby.
Sure.
But the only basis for... the only basis for Maxine's...
Start that again.
Now, granted, the Winslow house is in the suburbs of Chicago.
Right.
Right? Not downtown, but in Chicago still.
Mm-hmm.
And now, granted, there are going to be apartments nearby, apartment buildings, but my assumption was that Maxine also lived in a suburb ranch-style house, something similar to what the Winslows lived in.
Right.
So when she says rooftop party, I'm thinking, what the hell?
Yeah.
You're
Like,
on a roof of a house. I didn't really think that she lived, and if she did live in an apartment, I just didn't think that they would have it on top of that apartment.
with like a slanted roof and whatnot.
That's
that
what
would
I
just
was
be
thinking.
weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
agree with that.
Rachel, Aunt Rachel comes out and she says, "Hey, if I'm catering this party, I'm going to need more money. Otherwise, you're using generic chips and I'm watering down your punch."
Right.
The girls are like, "Okay, we don't have money. Do what you got to do, Rachel."
Yeah, make it happen.
So Rachel is all disgusted about this, and then the next scene is the party itself.
Which doesn't look too bad.
It doesn't look too bad. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
Are you kidding?
For a budget party, on a rooftop, it's, looked like it might have been a nice night. They had some lights going across the top. They had,
Balloons.
they had a DJ, or they had somebody playing music. So, I mean, it was like, you had all the essentials that you need for a good party.
It was about 20, 30 people.
Yeah.
They all appeared to be of high school age.
Right.
And I noticed that there were, aside from Rachel, Aunt Rachel, who catered the thing, who set up the food table, the punch bowl, pretty much, got the party together. Aside from her, and she left pretty quickly
Right.
also, no adults.
Right.
No adults, no supervision.
Which,
There are children on this roof of the apartment.
and why would Rachel agree to cater the party and then bail, on the party with a bunch of kids up there? That just was weird to me a little
We
bit.
find out that Rachel isn't too far away, but
Right.
she is not supervising this party at all.
Right.
There's nobody looking around. There's
Right.
nobody keeping an eye on these children.
Right. And there should have been some, supervision up there. Just, if anything, to make sure the kids didn't hurt themselves.
That's crazy.
Right.
That's crazy.
Right. So that's, stupid on her part for not having help. And, her having to leave the roof party and leave the kids alone. She could have had like one or two other parents there just hanging out, helping keep an eye on the kids and stuff, but she wanted to be cool, I guess, and give them space, but there should have been some sort of a compromise there.
Yeah, at
Just
least
leaving a bunch of kids on a rooftop with no like safety railing and whatnot. Yeah.
couple of adults maybe in the corner. You don't have to
Yeah.
interact with the kids. Just like be there in
be
case
there.
some shit goes down. You
Exactly. So now we so there's the way Rachel leaves. I wrote that she dances backwards and looks like she's high on crack.
It's pretty funny.
She did this like, I can't even describe it. You have to watch the episode. This episode has some real winning moments, and this is all just leading up to one of the most terrifyingly awkward moments. But so then we see, and earlier they were talking about who they were inviting, and they said, and Maxine says, you're inviting Harvey Garvey to this party. And we find out that Harvey Garvey, who we see at this at the party now, is this dude with like 4 teeth total. And he's like clearly a poster. He is the poster child for a dentist before and after picture. He's the poster before child.
This kid has meth mouth. He's got rotten teeth, and his gums are. Now, granted, this is a TV show. It was obviously brownies over his teeth, but they made it look pretty convincing. This kid had awful. His mouth was a ruin.
It was basically the kid that when he looks at the screen, everyone watching goes, "Ah!"
Yeah.
Because that's what I did. Pretty terrifying. But we meet him and so forth, and then we see Waldo and Willie show up, and Waldo is an African-American Forrest Gump.
I would agree with that. I would even go so far. Now, we haven't covered this show yet on the podcast, but I would even go so far as to say he's a black Screech.
Yes, I would agree with that. But Screech was more intelligent.
Screech was far more intelligent.
Yeah.
However, Waldo had the same social skills.
Yes,
as Screech.
I would agree with that. So, and we find out now that Waldo's got a secret in his jacket. When he opens his jacket, he's got an entire minibar.
Yeah. So these guys aren't even supposed to be here.
No.
Willie and Waldo show up, crash the party, and
Right.
Max is happy about this. She's
Right.
ecstatic. She's like, "Yes, people are crashing my party. That means it's a success."
Right, exactly. So, we see this little gem these bottles of gems that he has in his pocket, and Laura is starting to get a little uncomfortable. And I'm glad to see this because you figure her dad's a cop, so she's probably been raised, to know what the right decisions are and everything. And Maxine is being like, hey, don't get weird about drinking and blah blah blah. And so it's nice to see that little bit of hesitation there. But the guys are hovering around Waldo and trying to figure out what they want to spike the punch with, and it was kind of expected. But I think there's a little bit of a dissolve there because some time passes and Laura's like, hey, it's not too bad. People aren't really drinking or blah blah blah, and Laura says, well, nothing bad's happened yet, and that's when Steve Urkel shows up. I
take issue with this. I'm going to back up for a minute. I really like Waldo's coat. Now, I agree with the message. I agree with Laura's indignation. The delivery, though, I don't agree with the delivery. I feel it felt forced, and Maxine justifies it. No, nobody's going to get hurt. It's just a little bit of liquor, and then they play the Lifetime music. Now.
But what Waldo has is not a little bit of liquor. He has a bar in his.
You're right.
In his trench coat.
You're absolutely right.
Shoulder to kneecaps, probably like 6 or 7 bottles per row, and probably about 15 or 20 rows.
After the dissolve, and Laura comes to accept it. This is where I'm like, yo, your dad is a police officer. You know better than this. Why are you standing around watching this happen? They do a shot of Laura. She's very pensive, defensive body language, arms crossed, scowl across her face, and they do a shot of the punch bowl again, and the boys are pouring shots into cups and passing them around.
Which I thought was if they're going to do it, that's the better way to do it. Don't spike the whole bowl.
Now,
they were spiking individual drinks.
Right. Now, granted, I
don't condone the activity, but at least that's the less douchey way of doing it.
Listen, I don't condone the activity as well. However, at that age, I was doing similar things, and I would have embraced it if I was at that party. Not saying it's right. It's not. It's not.
Right.
But me personally, I would have been down for it. I would have been okay with it.
Yeah.
However, after some time has passed and looking back on this episode, Laura, I believe, really dropped the ball. She really should have said something to Aunt Rachel.
Yeah.
She should have called her father.
Yep. I would have gotten the hell out of there.
I would have, if I were Laura, I would have left. If I were Laura.
Me too.
I would have left that party. I'm sorry, Maxine. I appreciate the party. I appreciate you having me over here, but I am not down for what's happening here. I'm sorry, but I'm out. I'll talk to you later.
And something like that actually happened to me when I was younger, and I actually left a party.
And as well, you should have.
It was I don't regret it in one bit. But that being so interesting, definitely interesting discussion there for sure.
Yeah.
So now we do this dissolve, and now some time has passed, and Maxine's like, hey, come on, Laura, relax a little bit, try to have fun. It's a party. And Laura's like, yeah,
right.
it's not too bad. Nothing bad has happened yet. And of course, that's the cue for Steve Urkel to walk through the door. And of course, the crowd and the audience is like, woo! Like, why is Steve Urkel such a big star? He's an annoying nerd, and like I've always found him annoying. I don't think anything special of Jaleel White or Steve Urkel, but for some reason he was like this major star of the show.
I gotta tell you that I also did not like Steve Urkel. Did not like Steve Urkel at all. He was my least favorite part of the episode. He was always messing things up. There were episodes and there were situations where I felt for him.
Sure.
I'm like, yeah, Steve, I know you love Laura and it's unrequited and it's probably never going to happen for you, but your attitude is awful. You're an exaggeration.
For someone who seems to be so intelligent, he lacks
social skills.
Well, yeah, he lacks social skills and he lacks tact.
Like Waldo, like Screech.
Right.
And to me, that's I can't get behind that. So
right.
I don't like it.
Right.
Now, as the show has ended and as time has gone on, I got to say, I love Jaleel White. I love that guy. He is hilarious to me. He's been on recent episodes of Drunk History. He actually does a lot of voiceover work.
Interesting.
Did you see Dreamgirls?
Yes.
You said
He was in Dreamgirls.
yes, he was.
Yeah. I forget who he was, but I know he was in Dreamgirls.
He's been in a lot of things since then, and
thankfully he's playing more serious characters.
Yes.
Like he's not playing, grown-up versions of Urkel. Thank goodness.
Yeah. That was quite an issue of him being typecast and crashing and burning
Right.
as Steve Urkel forever. And I'm so happy that not only does he have a sense of humor about it,
Right.
but he's gone on to do other awesome, amazing things since then.
Right. So that brings me to the next part of the episode. If there was ever a moment to be mortified, it would be now. And all I have to say, because, just so you guys know, when we pick which episodes of which shows we're going to do, we kind of alternate, go back and forth. This was 100% all you, Brian. So nice pick.
You're welcome, I guess. I apologize for this scene.
That's okay, but for those familiar with the show, this was the episode where we learned there was a dance number. There was a song called "Do the Urkman," I believe. Was that what it was?
I thought it was just called "Do the Urkel."
Do the Urkel, do the Urkman, whatever the hell it was terrible. It was horrendous.
It was awful.
If that would have been the moment I shut it off. But we watched it.
I'm glad we didn't.
I'm glad we didn't either.
But
I mean,
I would have.
Because thankfully the song only lasted for about a minute. It wasn't a full-length song, but, it was an extremely mortifying minute. They're basically... Steve Urkel is talking to Laura, and Laura's like, well, no one's dancing, no one's doing anything. And Steve's like, oh, I got this. And he goes out, basically pulls his pants up even higher, and he starts rapping along with this thing, like, to do the Urkel, like pull your pants up and snort and blah, blah, blah. Like, he was sampling himself.
The lyrics are atrocious.
The lyrics are terrible. And we were watching with the closed captions on, and like even just reading the horrible lyrics. So just take a listen to how terrible this song is.
All right.
Now, if you want to do the Steve Urkel dance, all you have to do is hitch up your pants, bend your knees, and stick out your pelvis. I'm telling you, baby, it's better than Elvis. Up to the sky and talk through your nose way up high. Spin and dip and jump and cavort and finish it off with a laugh and snort.
Well,
such a terrible song.
Yeah, it's awful, and I really hope to not hear that again. Oh, God damn it. How many times?
Just twice.
All right.
But okay, so go ahead.
So Urkel shows up. He tries to get the boys to dance. The boys say, no, we're not dancing. So Urkel is like, oh, let me show you how it's done. And then he goes over and he starts to dance. Everyone falls in line, begins singing along with him, and they know the dance right off the bat.
It's a line dance.
In essence, it's a line dance.
Right.
And the fact that people pick it up, join in. He's got about a dozen people dancing along with him.
And enjoying it.
Everyone is smiling. This is terrible.
I smiled more when it ended.
Yeah, you and me both, brother.
Yeah. So, I mean, oh, God. Awful.
I wish I had more adjectives to describe how terrible this scene is.
All I will say is watch the episode, but make sure you put the remote for the TV on the other side of the room so you force yourself to watch the whole thing.
So you don't throw it.
Right. Just horrible.
All right.
Horrible. So anyway, after that travesty is over, or during the dance actually, Willie and Waldo are talking about, Willie's like, you know what? Because Willie and Urkel had this little altercation some time ago, and Willie is like, well, Urkel humiliated me, I want to get him back.
What?
Yeah, you didn't hear this part?
Oh, I heard it.
They had some kind of an altercation.
I heard the altercation, but he's humiliated?
Yeah. He said Urkel humiliated him.
In what way?
I don't know.
So
I
Urkel,
didn't catch that.
Urkel comes over and says, "Hey guys, you want to dance?" And everyone's like, "No, we're not dancing." And Urkel's like, "Well, there's a bevy of beauties here. Let's all
Right.
get down and dance." And Willie's like, "Nah, I'm not dancing." So Urkel's like, "All right, yeah, I'll show you how it's
I don't
done."
know.
He goes out and dances, and Willie is affronted by that.
Apparently, but I don't know. Apparently, but I don't know if that is the altercation he's referring to, or if it was some past altercation.
That's the humiliation. That's
Yeah.
the humiliation he was
gotta be.
referring to. It's got to be.
But he says, "I'm going to get him back." So he pours Steve a glass of punch and spikes it with something. So after the dance number, he goes up to Steve and he's like, "Hey, you know what, man? I can't mess with you. You're just real smart. Let's have a drink and let's toast to a new friendship."
Right.
Steve, being a genius, is like, "Oh, that's a great idea," and he just takes a drink. It's like, did it ever occur to you that he might have fucked with your punch? Like,
I don't think he did. I can get behind the naivety of Steve Urkel, accepting the what appears to be a token of friendship as genuine. I can get behind that.
Sure.
However, the sip of the drink, and I can also accept that Urkel has never tasted alcohol before. This is your first time tasting it.
Yeah.
Mixing it up with punch is one thing, but not knowing that this is something different. This is definitely not the punch that I know. Is this
Right.
mango? What is this?
Right.
I can even buy that. I can
And
even buy the fact that he doesn't recognize the alcohol for what it is.
but it also depends on what they spiked it with. We don't know if it was vodka, tequila, whatever. So, we don't know if what they put in there had a lot of a burn to it, or what kind of a taste it would have added to it. So,
yeah.
it's, I'd be curious to see what they put in there. Because obviously certain things are going to make it taste more or less, strong.
Right.
So anyway, some time passes now, and
yeah, he drinks the drink. They cut
Right.
to commercial. They
Right.
do like a title card of, not a title card. They do just like a cityscape, and they play the little bit of little riff just to denote the fact that time has passed.
right, yeah. But then when we come back in from commercial, and Steve is shit-faced.
Drunk.
We don't know how many of these drinks he's had, but he is shit-faced.
That's my notes. Urkel was drunk. How much time has passed? How much did he drink? What was the proof of what he drank?
Yeah.
And once you start feeling the effects, how can you not stop? How can you not say, "Hey, something's going on here"?
And he doesn't even know what he's had. So how does he know what, since this is a new experience for him, how does he know what's going on if no one's told him you just drank alcohol, or whatever it is? This is so foreign to him, but all he's doing is just acting like an idiot.
Yeah.
More so than he normally does.
Now, yeah, well, more so than he normally does, but to me, he is obviously drunk.
Right.
The fact that Laura comes up and Laura doesn't recognize him being drunk, and the fact that he doesn't recognize that he's drunk.
Right.
I mean, the first time I got drunk, I knew I was drunk. Then again, I knew I was drinking alcohol. However, after 2 or 3, I was a novice. It was
Right.
my first drinks. Of
Right.
course, I'm feeling the effects. I
Right.
know I'm different now. Steve is just oblivious to this.
Yeah.
Come
Yeah.
on now.
Yeah, I agree. So now, but what I found to be kind of interesting, though, he seemed to be acting a little bit more like he was high on something. Like not, and again, maybe that was just my perception of his acting.
Right.
But, he wasn't really like slurring his words. He was mixing up his words a little bit, but he wasn't, the behavior seemed more high or stoned than drunk.
I would agree with that to a point. There was definitely a slur, but it wasn't a pronounced slur.
Right.
He was obviously mixing up his words. He was making references to Fantasy Island, the TV show.
Yeah. When people are drunk, though, I feel like they're going to be like laughing a little more. They're going to be like really relaxed. They're going to be slurring their words. There's a, just like from an acting point of view, there's a style of drunk, and then there's a style of high. I feel like high is going to be you're a little more giddy. You're a little more like, your mind is kind of more open. So, and I mean, I've never been high, but like I've seen many people acting it like it, and I've seen people that were high, and it seems like they're more like, whoa, whereas drunk people are like just more relaxed and more mellow, but I don't know, we could be overanalyzing it.
I don't think we're overanalyzing it that way. I would agree he's got a little bit of stoniness in that portrayal, but I would say he was to my perception, he was acting a bit more drunk than high.
Yeah.
Though I can see the highness,
right?
The highness in there,
because that would then prompt him to do what he did next, where he got up on the ledge and was like standing up on the ledge, looking down at the the street below. And I can name a couple of movies where someone like snorts a line of coke and then they stand up on the ledge and then subsequently fall down and die.
Well, I can cite from experience that when I've had too much to drink, that I've done some physical things that I wouldn't normally do or couldn't have been able to do unless I had the alcohol coursing through my veins. So I can absolutely see myself doing something similar to him, though I'm at least not that reckless as I used to be.
Sure.
But I can absolutely see drunk me doing something similar to what Steve did.
Sure. Okay. So he then gets up on the ledge and he falls over, of course, and naturally he seems to fall about a floor and a half, and then he's holding on to a ledge.
Which I take great issue with.
Right, because when you're falling over, what are the odds that you're going to fall close enough to the building, number one? Number two, that you're going to be able to fall while drunk and be able to grab on while falling and catch yourself using only your knuckle, like your
fingertips,
the ends of your fingertips to hold your entire body weight. Now, granted, Steve Urkel has practically no body weight, but he's still got a good, maybe 90 pounds, 100 pounds that he's got to hold, completely not believable.
And so I'm with you on all of it.
Myth busted.
He fell off the ledge, fell about a story, grabbed onto the ledge, had the presence of mind to hold out both arms, fell in just the right way to grab the ledge with his fingers and remain coherent and aware enough and have the strength to hang on.
And he was so inebriated seconds ago that he could barely put a sentence together, but then he falls over and all of a sudden he's able to hold on and has the strength to hold himself. I mean, I'm guessing adrenaline can do so much.
It can.
But can it cure that kind of thing? That kind of situation? I
wrote, Steve is suddenly sober.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I guess it is a sobering thing when you're looking down and you see the street below and all that's holding you up is a ledge you're clinging onto with your fingertips. I guess that's a pretty sobering feeling.
But this also goes back to how much did this guy have to drink? Because he was drunk enough.
And what did he drink?
Yeah, he was drunk enough to act a fool, which a couple drinks can do that to anybody, lower the inhibitions. But you're drunk enough to put your life at risk. Somebody who's very careful, put his life at risk by jumping up on a ledge, clumsy as he is, walk around and fall over, but suddenly have the dexterity and the presence of mind to reach out and grab a ledge and hang on?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah. Not the most believable. Yeah.
Should have died. And this is where the show ends.
Well, he should have died, or at least he should have been severely injured because he needed to be paid back for that god awful song.
Oh, god damn it!
But anyway, so the only funny line he has in the entire episode is he goes, "I've fallen and I can't get up."
Man, I didn't like that.
I thought it was funny. So now Aunt Rachel is like, "Oh no, Steve fell. I should probably do something."
She pops up out of nowhere.
Yeah. Should she call for help? No. She's going to climb down and get him.
Well, she did say call 911.
Well, yeah. But, at what point is she thinking, okay, well, I am a, middle-aged woman. What point says, okay, I'm going to climb down this ladder and go rescue him?
This kid isn't even family.
No.
He's not even blood.
No, he's not.
And he's an annoyance to everyone.
Yeah.
Let him die.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, or if anything, I would have thrown a rope down or do something. Or they were in a building, for crying out loud. They could have gone down to like an apartment. To that apartment,
down to that apartment,
and said like, "Hey, we got someone that's hanging on the ledge outside your apartment. Can we go to the window?" I mean, if I lived in there, I'd say, "Absolutely, come on in, do whatever you need to do."
Yeah.
But anyway, so
she climbs down a ladder. How does she get down there again?
We don't know. The camera's just down there, and you just see her climbing down. You don't see how she gets on the ladder to begin with.
I feel like there's a ladder that gets down to that's what is it, 4-inch ledge? There's really not a lot to that ledge.
It's like just enough to stand with your foot sideways.
Yeah.
But she climbs down this thing, and then of course there's a clothesline going from one edge of the building to the other, and she decides to do a Cirque du Soleil tightrope walk across this clothesline, 6 stories above the street. I mean, we suspend disbelief to a certain degree, but with this is just complete nonsense.
Come on. Come on.
I remember, like, I used to watch these things with my mom, and she'd go, "Yeah, right. Yeah, right." And I can just envision her saying that right now. I was
saying that.
This middle-aged woman going, spreading her arms out like she's in this meditative pose, and she's tightrope walking across, and Urkel is like, "Have you ever done this before?" She's like, "Nope, never done it before." So what prompts you to take this hobby up now? I mean, do you really think that this is going to be vital to saving Steve Urkel?
Well, I would agree. Yes, it is something that you have to do to save this boy's life. But again,
despite the fact that we've already given other solutions as to a better way to approach this.
Yeah, right? Come on now.
I mean, of all the different ways to approach it, you had to pick the stupidest one.
He's 1 story down. How long is it going to take you to go downstairs, go to the apartment where it's not... No, you put less risk to yourself.
Yeah, now you got 2 people's lives in danger, because in addition to your little tightrope stunt, now she's on the same ledge with him once she makes it across after her tightrope walk. Now the 2 of them are on the same ledge.
Aunt Rachel is too hot to die for Steve Urkel.
I agree. She's an attractive woman.
Very.
But she's a doofus.
Yeah, she's would not have done that.
But of course, once she finally rescues him, the cheesy Hallmark music comes in.
Oh, hang on. So she gets across. So she tightropes across, and Steve starts screaming. She's like, "Steve, I'm here. Stop screaming." He's like, "No, you're standing on my fingers." So this girl not only does a tightrope walk, but she potentially puts him in even more danger by stomping on his fingers.
Yeah. Nice going, Aunt Rachel.
Nice going.
Really appreciate your help there. Really appreciate you.
Yeah, so she reaches down and she pulls him up, and they hug, and then we got the Lifetime music
right
coming in again.
So now we're back over at the Winslows after another commercial break, and
no, this is the police.
Oh, that's right. Yeah. So after this, we're back up on the top of the party scene. Somehow the cops have showed up. Probably they saw Steve dangling, below.
Yeah.
But the cops are there and talking to the people, and Waldo shows the inside of his coat, which is now devoid of bottles. No bottles at all in there.
I forget. Did they drink them all, or did they stash them away somewhere?
I don't think they explained what they did.
That's disappointing.
But they got rid of all the bottles.
I like to imagine that they all of those children drank them.
They probably did.
Yeah.
I think they did.
They patted them down. No bottles.
Right.
And yeah, Laura. What does Laura say? Yeah, Laura delivers this really, really powerful statement. I mean, granted, Steve and Rachel also, I guess you could say, almost died because of the alcohol. And
right, exactly. And she's basically yelling at Willie and Waldo for saying, "Hey, you don't need to bring alcohol to have fun. You could have killed people. That's not cool. Blah blah blah." So so then the cops are say, "Okay, we're going to take you down to juvie, and your parents will come and pick you up, and blah blah blah."
Notice the police. So the police arrested Willie and Waldo.
Correct.
However, they weren't the only people that were drinking. They were passing out these drinks to everybody else. And there was several people there that I saw on camera drinking spiked punch. None of these people were arrested.
Well, that we know of. We only saw Willie and Waldo getting walked off by the cops. We don't know if they came back and arrested more people. We don't know that for sure.
in the perfect world of my mind, they came back and arrested all of those children. That's what you get for coming to this party
Okay.
and dancing that ridiculous dance.
Yes, I think that's the real reason they got arrested. Screw the alcohol. You're under arrest for doing the Urkel.
Right.
Okay, so now we're back at the Winslows,
Yes.
and I loved this part. This part was so funny. So Harriet and Carl's mom are talking. They say, "You know what? We're gonna go to Lake Geneva. Let's do it." And then Carl walks in, and Harriet goes, "Carl, we've decided where we're going on vacation." And Carl goes ape shit.
Drops his bag, rolls up his sleeves, gets ready for a fight.
Yeah, Carl, because and like I can empathize with Carl because he probably comes home from having a real rough day, and he's looking forward to like making the plans and being the one that like is in charge of deciding the vacation spot and blah blah blah. And he comes in and he's all ready for them to say, "Oh, we're going someplace where Carl doesn't give a shit, and Carl's opinion doesn't matter, and we're picking the place without asking Carl." So he's fully ready for this. So he goes on this like 2-minute tirade, and then as soon as Harriet hands him, he snatches the book of the reservation where they're going, and he's like, "Oh, like Geneva. Oh," and I forget whether it was Harriet or his mom, but they were like, "Because you're so humble about us going on vacation to places that you never want to go, so we wanted to do something different this year." And he looks like such an idiot at this point, but I just made a note. There's no way he's leaving the room with any sort of dignity.
No, he's going out to make everybody trail mix.
Yeah, exactly. But that scene was great, and I mean, like, I don't want to give too much more away because it was just really really funny. Definitely watch the episode and check that one out. But now we're at the sort of last scene in the episode where Steve and Carl are talking, and Carl is concocting this crazy drink that is supposedly his, miracle hangover cure. Now, I got to ask you, Brian, in all of your years of, enjoying adult beverages, do you know of a single, like, bona fide hangover cure, or some concoction of drinks that will cure a hangover?
I have had several different concoctions over the years to try to cure a hangover, but the one surefire way that will always cure your hangover is more of what you had the night before.
Really?
Have a couple beers, be active, act like a human, run some errands, take a walk, have a couple beers, shower beers even.
Shower beers?
Yeah.
What does that mean?
That means you crack a beer, take it in the shower, drink a beer, and get clean.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
The hot water will open up your pores and make you feel a bit better.
Yeah.
I like to, at the very end, turn it all the way cold.
Yeah.
And just to give myself that shock, turn it off, dry off, get dressed, and do some things around the house. Be active.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to do is to lay around and be lazy all day if I'm hungover. But I got to tell you, the best thing for your hangover, again, more of what you had the night before, and just be don't get drunk again, unless of course you're already drunk still from the night before, which has happened to me many times.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's the best remedy. That's the best remedy.
Interesting, because that's really interesting, because for me, whenever I've woken up regretting what I did last night, I would usually just drink tons and tons of water.
Yeah.
And like I would usually go and have a really big meal, like a really big breakfast or something, and then just drink tons of water that day. So, it seems like there's, many different ways to cure a big hangover like that. But Carl seems to put together this concoction of crazy stuff that he gives to Steve, and Steve winds up drinking it and miraculously feels better instantly, which completely never happens.
Well, he feels better instantly. He feels better instantly until he gets up and starts moving around.
Right.
And then the nausea hits.
Yeah, then he's got to go to the little boy's room.
The facilities, yeah.
Exactly. And then the episode's over.
He has the beer shits from the night before.
Yeah. But this was such a great episode. I had a blast doing this, and let's do highlights, lowlights.
Highlights and lowlights.
So I think I'm gonna mix it up a little bit. I'm gonna start with lowlights.
Oh, okay.
So my lowlight was the do the Urkel dance. The entire sequence was just god awful.
I had a feeling you'd pick that. That was one of my contenders as well, but
right.
I didn't pick it. But go into. Do we really need to go on about it? I
No.
know it's your low light.
That's all it is. Just the entire sequence. It was terrible.
It's pretty awful.
What's yours?
My low light turned out to be one of your favorite parts. When Carl comes home, Harriet says, "Hey, this is we've decided on where we're going for vacation."
Carl's tirade was a low light for
It was
you?
a low light, and you know why?
Man.
And you
Why?
know why?
Why?
Because he didn't. He just shot off at the mouth without. What you should have done, Carl, is you should have drop the gym bag, take your coat off, get ready for the fight, but have Harriet tell you where you're going. Have her justify why you're going where you're going. Then you shoot her down. You shoot her down. He came in half-cocked.
He did it in a funny way, though. The entire sequence was funny. Like I didn't see anger or rage in him. I saw almost like a, not sarcastic, but I saw a humorous anger in him, if there were such a thing.
I know what you mean.
Like a whimsical anger. Oh, I get it. All right, fine. I get it.
The scene starts with Harriet and Mama Winslow discussing, all right, well, let's go to Lake Geneva. Yeah, Lake Geneva is a great idea. That's everybody's got will benefit from this. We'll go somewhere where Carl wants to go for once. Yeah, let's do that. Great, let's do something nice for Carl. Then Carl comes in and just ruins it. So for me,
I disagree.
For me, him going off and just coming out swinging. He just came out swinging without any confirmation.
Yeah.
It would have been justified if they picked New York or the beach and then he went off. The thing that he did also, he took the travel log from her and he goes, I want one measly little vacation at one measly little week, one measly little lake for me, for once, me. When can we go where I want to go? And to me, I was like, Carl, but the more you're saying, the worse this is going to be for you. And I didn't like seeing him humiliated. Willie being humiliated by Urkel?
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Carl humiliated himself.
Right.
And that's, for me, was the low light.
But the redeeming, I got to throw this back to you, though, the redeeming quality, though. Harriet's look on her face the entire time Carl is going on his tirade. She's got this look of sass and like this look on her face.
Oh, and I loved that look. I loved it. Harriet was...
Yeah,
And Carl didn't have the presence of mind to look at that and say, okay, if he had just cut himself off sooner...
Yeah.
That's just me. And
hey, that's okay. Hey, opinions are a beautiful thing. Everybody's got their own. Highlights. Let's talk about highlights. So, what's your highlight?
My personal highlight was Carl bonding with Urkel. I was kind of irritated that Urkel was at the Winslow's house the next morning because he was hungover.
I get irritated whenever Urkel's in the Winslow house, but that's another story.
Yeah. I'm with you there. But anyway, he's there and he has the hangover, and Carl just says, yeah, I've been there before, Steve. I've had hangovers also. Steve's like, yeah, tell me about it. So Carl doesn't go into much detail, but he says, yeah, I graduated into police academy. We tied one on, and I liked that little bonding moment. He gave Steve the hangover cure. Steve liked it. Carl's reaction was genuine because Steve was already out of the room. I liked that moment between the two of them. As much as I don't like Urkel, for the most part, I don't like Urkel.
Right.
And I can empathize with Carl's irritation with Urkel. I like it when they have that that nice, that tender moment, that bonding moment
Yeah.
together.
I agree with you on that, and I like the fact that they didn't overplay that.
Yes.
And that's going to be my highlight here, is the fact that the life lessons, or like the hallmark moments, are not overplayed on this nearly to the same way they are in like Full House. Mm-hmm. The little life lesson moments, it's like they're there, but they don't slap you in the face.
Right.
And that's what I really liked about this particular episode. So we have another bit that we're going to do.
Let's do
and
it.
I've been looking forward to this for some time. This is called Mystery Guest. So I've got the names of 3 different mystery guests, and I'm going to pick one, and I'm going to ask you this question. What would happen if Niles from Frasier were to walk in during the Do the Urkel dance? What would Niles do?
So in the Do the Urkel dance, so that sequence when Urkel comes in and
I'm talking about the dance itself.
The dance itself.
Right. Do you think he would dance? Do you think he would stop it? What do you think he would do?
So if Niles were to walk in, I believe he would kind of drift to the side. Obviously, he doesn't know anyone here, but he's here for a reason. He observes the Urkel dance from a generous distance, and he turns his nose up in disdain because it's something that poor people do. Niles views this as maybe poor people is the wrong word. I don't know the social status of every member of that dance troupe there, but he would go to the punch bowl. He would pour himself some punch,
and then he would probably turn his nose up at that.
Turn his nose up at that. Pour it out, and quietly excuse himself from the scene.
I agree.
Okay, I have a mystery guest for you for the same scene.
Okay.
I want to extend it a little bit. The when Urkel comes in and starts it, and then to the very end when he's handed the drink.
Okay.
During this whole time, Steve comes in and says, "Hey, everybody, Steve Urkel's here." Oh, fucking dick. So Urkel comes in. In behind him walks Uncle Jesse from Full House. Now keep in mind, we're fresh off the episode,
right?
Where he takes kids to the museum,
right?
Walk me through Uncle Jesse interacting at this party.
See that? Okay, knowing what I know about Uncle Jesse from the past episode, he would probably grab himself a glass and probably want it spiked. And he would probably he seems like he would just get right in on the action with the Do the Urkel dance, and he seems like he would be fairly oblivious to the the problems here, because he was pretty oblivious with what happened in the in the museum with all the other things. So I think he would be a poor choice of a chaperone.
Yes, I would agree that he would be a poor choice as chaperone. The one difference here is you can be silly with 4 or 5-year-old children. They're not people yet.
Right.
They're not real. Right. So you can be silly and you can dance funny and crazy and you can have a good time with them in a manner of speaking.
Right.
In that regard. So in this Urkel dance party, I would agree with him joining in on the dance.
Right.
But the cringe factor shoots through the roof if he's in on this dance also.
I agree, because
I don't
now
like
you
it.
have like a 40-year-old man dancing with a bunch of 14-year-olds.
Still children.
Yeah.
Still children, but now we're high school age.
Right. Right. Okay, well, I got another one for you.
Okay.
Urkel is hanging by his 2 hands barely off of that ledge, and instead of Aunt Rachel coming down to climb him, it's Roscoe from Dukes of Hazzard. Walk me through that.
Roscoe.
Yeah.
That's the Sheriff Roscoe?
Roscoe P. Coltrane.
Oh man. That guy?
Yeah.
Fuck. All right, so Roscoe is down the ledge?
Roscoe's climbing down the ledge.
Climbing down the ledge to save Steve.
Presumably.
This is tough. This is tough because in that particular scenario, Roscoe, as a sworn officer of the law who's sworn to protect and serve,
Right.
I think if not to save Urkel's life, he would at least save him to see if he had any moonshine on him. But I can't see Roscoe tightrope walking.
Me neither.
I can see him trying to shimmy across the ledge to get to Urkel, but not soon enough, and Urkel falls to his death.
Right. I don't think Roscoe would be a good fit to. I think Aunt Rachel has more of a chance of saving him than Roscoe would.
Yes, because Roscoe definitely has the appearance of being bumbling and unwieldy.
Right.
With his faculties.
Right. Exactly. You want to give me another one?
I've got one for you.
All right.
So, moving back in time to this party again. Steve Urkel walks in the door. Hey, everybody! Here's Steve Urkel. Walks over to the punch bowl to talk to the dudes about getting a dance party started. Who walks in behind him but Blanche from the Golden Girls?
Oh man!
Hasn't been laid in weeks. Weeks. She's moist walking into the door with all of these young, studly high school men. Boys. Wow. How would Blanche handle this scenario?
Oh man, that's really, really tough. Because obviously she's a mother. We know she has a daughter, but she might have other kids and everything. She's a grandmother. I think we find out later in the Golden Girls. But I think she would definitely walk in there, and she would probably head right on over to the punch bowl, and she would probably demand to get some sort of alcoholic beverage and get herself kind of loosened up. But aside from that, and other than the police coming later on, I don't see her as stooping to the level. I do believe she has enough class to not want to bang a high school student, or I believe she has enough class to not do that. She's a classy lady. She's a horny classy lady, but still a classy lady.
Would she join in on the dance?
No,
you don't,
not at all.
You don't believe she would join in the dance?
Nope, not at all. I think she would probably heckle the dancers, or she would because she doesn't seem like she at least from what I've seen, she doesn't seem like that's silly.
Right.
Rose is a lot more likely to be silly, I think.
Good point.
So I don't, and that dance was very silly. So I don't see her as stooping to doing that dance.
Okay, fair enough. I would posit that she would come in. She would.
She'd want to take one of the cops home.
She'd want to have some drinks.
Right.
I see it in her to at least join in the dance a little bit, but not see it all the way through, and possibly hit on Willie. Willie was the most eligible, most masculine person at that party, save for the police when they showed up.
Yeah, I think that was good. I think this is a good bit we got to do again.
Yes.
It's a mystery guest. But so that takes us to the end of our episode here. I think we've had a lot of fun here, a lot of good stuff. But, as always, feel free to reach out to us. All our contact information is at the top of the episode here. But aside from that,
tune in next week.
And the week after that.
And after that.
And after that.
And after that.
Now, if you want to do the Steve Urkel dance, all you have to do is
come
lift
on.
up your pants, bend your knees, and
Really?
stick out your pelvis.
It's a rare condition this day and age to read any good news on the newspaper page. And love and tradition of the grand design, some people say, is even harder to find. Well, then there must be some magic clue inside these gentle walls. 'Cause all I see is a tower of dreams, real love bursting out of every scene. Please come back. smother the blues with tenderness. There's room for you, room for me, for gentle hearts and opportunity. It's the bigger